Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Here we have a bonus episode for you. Let's dive in.
Remember that time, maybe when you were younger, the whole family gathered around the one TV, watching whatever was on?
Oh, yeah. Scheduled viewing.
Yeah.
Primetime meant something very specific then.
Exactly. Like, imagine Coronation Street getting nearly 20 million viewers now. It seems almost impossible, that whole shared national experience. Well, it feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
It really does. The landscape's just completely different.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are jumping right into this massive, massive shift happening in television. You know, the move away from the traditional channels, the linear stuff.
Towards the streamers.
It's relentless, isn't it?
Completely. And we're not just looking at what's happening. We really want to dig into the why. Why now?
Yeah.
And crucially, what could be coming next for this whole industry? Feels like it's constantly changing.
Absolutely. And to do that, we've really pulled together a lot of material for this deep dive. We've got market data, industry reports, UK, US, plus insights from some of the big companies and tech providers involved.
Right. Our job, really, is to pull out the key stuff for you. There's some pretty surprising numbers in here, and maybe, just maybe, a few hopeful signs, too.
Yeah, hopefully some aha moments for you, our listener, as we try to make sense of it all. Okay, so let's start with the US, because the numbers there are just, well, they really tell a story. This cord cutting thing, it's not just a buzzword anymore.
No, it's absolutely a major trend, a huge one. The U.S. cable TV industry, right, is looking at something like a $30 billion drop. That's in subscriptions and ad revenue compared back to 2017.
30 billion.
Yeah. And looking forward, say, to 2026, projections suggest 80.7 million U.S. households will be using non-pay TV services.
Yeah.
Streaming, free options.
So leaving
Leaving only about 54.3 million still subscribe to traditional pay TV. I mean, think about this. By the end of 2026, the estimate is 75%. 3/4 of U.S. homes with a TV won't have a traditional subscription anymore.
75%. That just fundamentally changes everything. So what's pushing people away? What are the main reasons you see in the data?
Well, the number one reason, overwhelmingly, is price. A huge 86.7% say it just costs too much.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then you've got nearly 40%, 39.7%, who just plain prefer streaming. The convenience, the choice.
Well, it's the on-demand aspect.
Exactly. And about 7.7% specifically mentioned wanting the original content that you find on streaming platforms. And this isn't just talk, it hit the bottom line. Pay TV revenue actually dropped by almost $13.88 billion just between 2017 and 2022.
So cost and choice are the big drivers, but who is actually doing the cutting? Is it everyone or specific groups?
It does skew a bit younger, or perhaps middle-aged, I should say, the average cord cutter. Usually between 35 and 55 years old.
Okay.
About 16% of people in that 35-54 group said they were extremely likely to cancel their pay TV. Compare that to people over 55, only 4% felt that strongly about canceling.
So older viewers are sticking with traditional TV more, maybe familiarity?
Probably. Familiarity, maybe simplicity. But interestingly, it's not always a one-way street. Get this. Over a third of cord cutters in the U.S. and Canada who actually went back to pay TV.
Oh, they resubscribed. Why?
Yeah. They said it was because they couldn't get all the entertainment they wanted just from streaming. Things like live events, sports, maybe local news. Those are still big draws for the traditional bundle.
That's fascinating. So live content still holds real power. And speaking of power shifts, May 2025 was a huge moment, right? When streaming actually overtook traditional TV viewership.
Yes, a genuine historic milestone. Nielsen's data showed streaming hit 44.8% of all TV viewing that month.
Okay.
And that was more than broadcast TV, which was at 20.1%, and cable at 24.1%. Add those up, and traditional TV was 44.2%. So streaming just edged past them.
For the first time ever.
First time ever. And think about the trend. Since May 2021, streaming usage is up 71%. Meanwhile, broadcast viewing is down 21%, and cable viewing down 39% in just 4 years.
Wow, so it's not just Netflix we're talking about here then. The streaming world itself is diversifying.
Oh, absolutely. It's much more complex now. I mean, look at YouTube, just the main YouTube site, not YouTube TV. Its viewing share is up over 120% since 2021.
120%.
Yeah, it hit 12.5% of all TV time in May. That's the biggest slice for any single streamer so far.
Bigger than Netflix or the others.
Bigger than any single one in that particular month, yeah. And then there's the whole FAST category, free ad-supported TV.
Like Pluto TV, Tubi.
Exactly. Pluto TV, Roku Channel, Tubi, put them together. And they accounted for 5.7% of total TV viewing in May. That combined share is actually bigger than any single broadcast network share.
That is really interesting. So people still want that lean back channel surfing kind of experience, maybe just online and free with ads.
It looks that way. It suggests that desire for curated linear style programming hasn't vanished. It's just finding new outlets, adapting to how we watch things now with, targeted ads funding it.
Right. Okay, let's hop across the pond to the UK. Because they're facing similar pressures, but maybe with some unique twists for their traditional terrestrial TV. I mean, thinking back to those huge audiences for shows, it's a different world.
It really is. You mentioned Coronation Street earlier. Nearly 20 million viewers today. A UK channel controller would probably be pretty happy to get over 2 million live viewers on a regular weeknight.
That's a massive drop.
It is. And broadcasters are getting genuinely worried. There's concern that over the next, say, 10 to 15 years, viewership on the traditional broadcast platforms like DTT or satellite will fall so much.
DTT being digital terrestrial, so free view for most people.
Exactly, free view. The worry is that the cost of actually running those distribution networks will eventually become more than the benefit they get from them. It'll reach a tipping point.
Especially if the technology is old.
Well, yeah. A lot of the UK's DTT network, Seaview, is still using tech that dates back to the 1990s. Transmission, encoding.
Yeah.
It hasn't kept pace in the same way IP delivery has.
So if they did eventually phase out DTT, who relies on that signal? Who would be most impacted?
That's a critical question. A government report, DCMS, back in October 2024, looked into this. It found that the 17% of UK households still relying primarily on DTT in 2023. Well, they tended to be households with lower incomes.
Okay.
They were also more likely to include people who were disabled, older people, people living alone, often women, and geographically more concentrated in the north of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
So potentially the most vulnerable groups could be left behind. What's the plan to avoid that?
The BBC is taking a lead here. They're actively pushing for what they call an IP switchover, aiming for sometime in the 2030s.
Meaning everything delivered over broadband.
Essentially, yes. Moving away from the old aerial signals entirely.
Yeah.
And they plan to really invest in Freely. That's their new platform designed to be a universal free service delivering live TV over broadband.
So a replacement for Freeview, but internet-based.
Kind of. They're even talking about potentially developing a specific streaming device, maybe a simple box or dongle, with Freely built in and a really easy-to-use interface. The whole idea is to make sure everyone can still access free public service broadcasting as things shift online.
It's interesting, isn't it? People were predicting the death of linear TV way back in, 2007?
Oh yeah, those predictions have been around a long time.
But it's still here. It's proven surprisingly resilient. But that doesn't mean it's business as usual for the big media companies, right? Especially the ones built on that traditional model. They must be feeling the heat.
Absolutely feeling the heat. It's this weird paradox. You've got OTT over-the-top streaming revenue just exploding. I mean, it went from about $6 billion in 2010 to potentially $167 billion by 2025. Massive growth.
Huge numbers.
But even with that growth, streaming hasn't quite reached the sheer revenue-making power that linear TV still has, or at least had very recently. Linear still pulls in significant money, partly because it's easy, right?
Yeah.
Curated, low-effort viewing.
The lean-back factor again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you cannot underestimate the power of live events. Sports, major news events. They still command huge, simultaneous audiences in a way that on-demand struggles to replicate. That live shared experience still has immense value.
And we're seeing big players react. Warner Bros., Discovery, for example. They're making some pretty drastic moves, aren't they? It feels like they're having to completely rethink their structure in this fragmented world.
They really are. It's a prime example.
Yeah.
WBD is actively looking at spinning off its traditional networks. There's talk of a mid-2026 spinoff, and the CEO, David Zaslav, even mentioned a possible separation in April, back in September 2025.
Separating the cable channels from the streaming side.
That seems to be the direction. It shows that even the absolute giants aren't immune. The old model of combining everything under one roof might not be the best strategy anymore. They need agility. And this pressure, it doesn't just hit the C-suite.
Right, it trickles down.
It absolutely does. Think about the whole ecosystem. Consultants, contractors, freelancers. The revenue squeeze in traditional TV is real. We hear estimates that sometimes only around 10% of the ad money actually makes it back to the studios after all the intermediaries take their cut.
Only 10%.
Compare that to, say, YouTube, where creators can potentially earn much more directly. That pressure impacts everyone working in and around the traditional broadcast space. It's a far cry from the heyday, as you mentioned. Budgets are tighter, work is different.
So with all this pressure, all this change,
Yeah.
is there any good news? Any light at the end of the tunnel for these established players or the industry overall? Or is it just managing decline?
No, it's definitely not all doom and gloom. There are real areas of opportunity, especially around innovation. And one huge area is artificial intelligence. AI is becoming critical.
How so? How is AI helping?
Well, in a couple of key ways. First, understanding audiences better. In this fragmented world, knowing exactly what people want to watch when and why is gold. AI can analyze viewing patterns on a scale humans just can't.
To personalize recommendations, presumably.
Yes, much better personalization, delivering relevant content to keep people engaged, but also unlocking really valuable data for advertisers. If broadcasters can offer advertisers incredibly precise targeting based on AI insights, that makes their ad space much more valuable, helping to offset some of those revenue pressures.
Making them better partners for brands.
Exactly. And AI is also starting to transform things like actual production, especially in news, making it faster, more efficient.
Can you give some specific examples? What kind of AI tools are we seeing emerge?
Sure. You've got companies like Movie One, for instance, developing tools they're calling things like ALI AI. They bill it as the world's first streaming-focused AI engine.
Okay.
And they're also looking into things like AI-powered compliance. Think about automatically checking content against different regulations or managing complex broadcast rights across territories using AI.
So it's about efficiency and managing complexity, too.
Precisely. It's using AI not just for flashy recommendations, but to streamline the whole back-end operation. Content delivery, personalization, compliance, monetization. It's about working smarter in a much tougher environment.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've gone through this huge surge in cord cutting, especially in the U.S.
The historic moment when streaming viewership actually overtook traditional TV.
The specific challenges facing terrestrial TV in the UK with that aging infrastructure and the need for an IP switchover.
And how the big media giants like Warner Bros., Discovery, are being forced into major strategic changes, breaking up old structures to adapt.
We've seen that, yeah, linear TV is under immense pressure, but it's not dead yet, especially for things like live news and sports.
Absolutely. It still has real staying power there. And we've touched on some genuine opportunities, particularly with AI, which seems poised to really reshape how content gets made, delivered, and paid for. It offers a path forward.
It really feels like the whole definition of television is just blurring and evolving at lightning speed. It's not just the box in the corner anymore.
It's not at all. It's this vast, personalized universe of content available everywhere. Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, our listener, to consider.
Go on.
As AI gets even more sophisticated, how much further could it blur those lines between scheduled TV and on-demand? Could we see AI creating truly hyper-personalized viewing experiences, maybe even generating entire channels dynamically, just for you, based on your mood, your interests, things you didn't even know you wanted to watch?
A completely fluid AI-curated viewing future. That's definitely something to think about.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.